local river mud is thick and heavy. The water looks idyllic, but everyone in the nearby villages knows that if you fall in, chances are you'll get sucked down and never come up again. It's particularly bad down there, by the river mouth, where the fresh water turns to salt and flows out to the sea. Maybe that's something to do with it. The way the water churns from stream to tide, causing inky black lumps of long buried dead things to deposit on the shallow banks. Occasionally, the mud spits something out again, pale and bloated, cellular matter turned to a white. Amorphous blob that shears away in your hands. Usually it's a rabbit or fox, something that ran into the deceptive waters. Occasionally, though, the river returns something recognizable as human. A few weeks ago, one of these hellish gifts emerged. It was found by a dog walker down the coast, washed up by the tides. It was a finger. Nail still intact. Warped flesh still hanging raggedly to bone. It made the news before the police could contain the story, and pictures began to pass around on Twitter. Soon, a handful of families came forward, hoping, dreading, that it was their lost child. Our village was home to one of the hopefuls. Nate Taylor had been an average kid at my school. There wasn't anything much to say about him, never caused trouble, but was never absent from it either. He wasn't popular, nor was he a loner. He didn't come top of the class, nor did he make up the back row. Nate was average. The only remarkable thing was when he vanished. He disappeared on Midsummer's Eve almost 10 years ago. He just turned 14 and went fishing with two friends, Sam Franklin and Bill Richardson, down at the old docks. Both Sam and Bill told the same story when they were questioned by police, and I knew them both really well enough to know it was probably the truth, or a close version of it. The trio hadn't caught a bite, so about 6 p.m. Bill decided to call it quits and went home. Sam stayed for another hour, but then got tired too and left. That was the last time Nate was seen alive. About 10 p.m. his mother became worried and found his rod and tackle box on the dock, next to Nate's shoes, lined up in an ordered row. Two theories emerged. His family were certain he'd been kidnapped. Appeals were launched, missing persons posters littered the village. They stayed up for years, Nate's face forever young as we grew up and moved on. But there was never any real question of what happened. Everyone knew the poor kid, on his own, must have slipped and fallen into the river. From there, the mud could have sucked him down. It was a horrible way to go. You can't blame Nate's family for clinging to hope. As I mentioned, we moved on. Bill went to university somewhere in the north, and his LinkedIn suggests he's an accountant. Sam went into the merchant navy, but died shortly after. Whether it's rumored or gossip, I don't know. But the story I heard was that he'd gotten drunk with the crew and headed down below to pass out. Nobody was looking out for him, and he choked on his own vomit. He was 19 years old. As for Nate's family, the finger could have brought closure, except it didn't, because here's the mystery that nobody can solve. When they tested the finger, it wasn't Nate's. The police ran a DNA search and it came up with only one match. The finger was Bill's. Bill, who moved away. Bill, who I knew and laughed with and talked to for years. Bill, who was never missing any of his fingers. I don't know what's happening now. I imagine the police are asking the same questions I have. I'm just writing this down because I don't know what happened on that pier that night. And that finger has just raised more questions than answers. I was never a prolific student in class. In fact, in my classes I would always listen or watch these horror videos on YouTube. Even after these lectures in university, I found it difficult to study after class or at school. I always went home directly after class just to go on my computer and watch even more scary stories. I end up staying as late as 3 in the morning and waking up as late as 1 in the afternoon. I remember this incident that happened at 2 a.m. in the morning. My room is across the bathroom, which is down the hall. My parents' room is beside the washroom, and beside their room is a guest room. I decided to take the room at the very end because it was the largest room, except, of course, the master bedroom. I got up from my chair and opened the door only to see a figure come out of the washroom. The washroom door was open and the lights were off. At first I thought it was my mother because she had long hair and she was skinny, like that figure. I agree I might have been hallucinating, but it all looked so real. The next day, I asked my mom if she woke up and went to the washroom the other day because she didn't make any noise at all and it freaked me out. She denied it, but honestly she doesn't really have good memory, so I wouldn't blame her if she honestly did, but said she didn't. So days go by where I sometimes catch her going out of the washroom and going into my parents' bedroom. One night, I took my phone and tried recording her going into her room to prove her wrong. But of course, I couldn't capture her on my camera. It was simply too dark for my phone to capture any kind of light. I kept telling her that she was sleepwalking and trying to make her admit it, but she never did. She would tell me how well she slept the other night, and how she never woke up the entire night. I had enough of this, and set up a motion detector that would instantly turn on the lights if there was any movement in the room. I stayed up the entire night with my video recorder that had the ability to record in night vision. I sat against my wall facing out across the halls exactly where the washroom was. It hit 1 o'clock a.m. when I saw a figure walk into the washroom. Oddly, the motion detector didn't turn on, but regardless, I turned on my camera and aimed it directly at the washroom. I recorded nothing. I didn't know what to think, so I started posting questions on forums and did some research. I'm still a skeptic about ghosts and paranormal stuff, but I just don't know how to explain this stuff. I checked my lenses and motion detector and they were working fine. I even went to a tech geek to see if they could check out my camera and to see if it was still in perfect condition. And of course, it was.